Hi, it's Mike DelSignore, Massachusetts OUI lawyer. In today's video, I want to talk about what happens if you were arrested for OUI and charged by the Wilmington, Massachusetts Police Department. So cases from Wilmington Police will go to Woburn District Court. Woburn District Court has, when you're on for arraignment, the main session, you walk right through security. The main session's right in front of you. It's called Courtroom 1. The case will stay in Courtroom 1 for a while until trial, when it'll go upstairs to either Courtrooms 2 or 3 where they do trials. When you're arrested initially, you want to report to probation so they know you checked in and have your file and they can call the case. Most important thing people want to know is, can you win your case? You'll enter a not guilty plea. If you call me, review the case with me, I'll gladly talk to you about it before your arraignment. If you're arrested over the weekend, I'll go over all the details I can at the time, including where you're coming from, going to, potential witnesses, medical issues that might impact field sobriety tests. But then once we go to the arraignment, we'll get the report. And the report is a major factor in determining whether you can win the case or whether you should resolve the case. The report's basically the officer's version of what happened. Now, in these cases, the government has the burden of proof. They have to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt, which means to an abiding conviction to a near moral certainty. So it's a difficult standard. It's a very high standard. It's easy to get arrested, but it's difficult to be convicted of a crime in Massachusetts or anywhere else for that matter, because the Due Process Clause requires such a high standard of proof to convict somebody of a crime in this country. So what we do, we look at the driving. Does the driving show significant signs of impairment? Next, when the officer approaches the car, what was the interaction like? Was it normal? Was there anything out of the ordinary? Now, in almost all cases, you'll have odor of alcohol, slurred speech, bloodshot, glassy eyes. Are all those there? If they're not, obviously it's a better case for you because one of the key indicators is missing. Is it a strong odor or a moderate odor? Right? Cases with a moderate odor, I argue that that shows that you weren't drinking excessively, you're drinking socially. There's nothing wrong under the law with going out and having some drinks with your family, friends for dinner. That's obviously not illegal. So when an officer pulls somebody over, was there a crime committed? Maybe, maybe not. It's a unique criminal offense. It's different from, say, a burglar. Someone committed a crime, it's a matter of who. With OUI, it's like we don't even know if there was a crime committed. Was this person just drinking socially and we had an overzealous officer stopping the person? So in court, the government has to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. On the street, the officer only needs probable cause. So it's a much lower standard of proof. So what we do is then we look at the field sobriety test. These tests are hard for anyone to perform. Some people can't balance on one leg under any condition at all. The 9-step walk and turn, the officer buzzes through the instructions. You're supposed to get them right away. You're supposed to understand every little nuance of what he's saying and do perfectly on the test. And if you don't, they say it's because of alcohol. Is that true? Of course not. The officers have a manual. It's a very thick manual. They have training. They have a 40-hour training on this. So they're given instruction after instruction, how to do a 9-step walk and turn. They don't even go out cold on their first day as officers. They have a field training officer to make sure they're doing the field sobriety test right. Think about that. You're told you have to do it right perfectly. When they're on the job, they're given an officer who's going to monitor how they're doing the test, even though they had hours and hours of training. So there's an argument to be made that these tests aren't accurate, they're not reliable, and that somebody might not be under the influence who doesn't perform perfectly on the test. There's a lot of ways we can argue about these tests and their reliability. A lot of times I'll try to say, geez, the person basically passed the test. I had a trial recently where I was able to say, my client substantially performed the test, and there was a video, and it showed that the officer stopped the one-leg stand even though my client was doing well on it. So she was doing great. He just ended the test and said, okay, that's enough. Okay, and that happens a lot, where they just end the test without really giving the person a chance to finish. So if you're charged with OUI out of Wilmington, feel free to call me. I'll tell you when you can get your license back, the fastest way to get back on the road. I'll tell you how this is going to affect your job, and I'll give you an overview of what's going to happen in the Woburn District Court. So I've handled cases out of that court for years. It's a very good court. I know many of the judges that appear there. the district attorneys, and I'm familiar with the process in that court and kind of can tell you what to expect, not only on an OUI anywhere in Massachusetts, but particularly in Woburn District Court. So if you have any questions, feel free to call, text anytime. My name is Mike DelSignore, 781-686-5924. My passion is helping people charged with OUI get their lives back together, get their license, and move on with their life without a criminal conviction.